Hey everybody, it's Mark again, and I want to talk about these broaches. This is what I have been using to install bushings and a clock. I bought this VHS tape in 1999, and it's from a well-known clock maker. And I'm going to show you a little bit about what he says. And the reason why I want to do this, because there's been people that have been complaining that I use broaches to put bushings in a clock. I just bought some KWM Reamer set, but prior to that, this is what I've been using. It works, and I'm going to show you the reason why I bought this set in the first place.
Amount needed. If you have problems estimating that amount, you could mark a little line out here with a pen or something to align to file too. Now that we have our bushing selected and our hole filed to size, we'll be wanting to enlarge this hole with a tool called a cutting broach.
Did you hear what he said?
Five-sided
cutting
tool,
broach.
Slightly concave,
not Reamer,
with
broach.
sharp sides, and these cutting broaches are tapered to cut an infinite sizes of holes, and we want to put our tapered cutting broach in through the clock plate and keep it perpendicular to the surface of the plate at all times. And we'll be wanting to broach this hole by pushing and twisting on our cutting broach. And we have.
I highly recommend that y'all get this VHS tape if you could still find it. It's what I purchased in 1999. It's how I learned a good portion of what I know in repairing clocks. And again, he did not say Reamer. He said cutting broach. And that's what he used to install bushings in a clock. Now, some people were saying that you can't use these broaches, that they're tapered. And what you do is you select a broach and you measure the total diameter of the broach, and would say this is the broach that you need to use to put a bushing, but it's too big at this diameter, but it's just right down here. Well, you put a piece of tape, you mark this thing somehow, that way you don't make the hole too big. But again, he said cutting broach, not Reamer. But again, I highly suggest that you find this tape. It's a well-known clockmaker. He does a terrific job in explaining several things in repairing clocks. Yeah, I'm probably violating the copyright, but I'm not showing you the whole thing, so I just want to show you. I want to advertise for him. And if you have a problem with me using broaches, contact this guy. He was my teacher, Bruce Rasmussen. Everybody, it's Mark again, and I'm going to put bushings in this antique Alexander Puig cuckoo clock movement that I have. I'm going to use my KW Reamer set, not my cutting broach set as my mentor from the VHS tape I showed you, but I'm going to use the K&M Reamer set. And the reason I'm using the Reamer set, as I explained before, using the cutting broaches, you have to go from the small size to the next size to the next size, and it takes longer. With the K&M set, sorry, use one reamer. It takes you about 30 seconds to a minute per bushing to drill it out, depending on how fast you want to go, and then that's it. The thickness of my plate is 2.2 millimeters thick. On the time side, on one side of my T2 is 0.8 millimeters thick, and that's because it's gotten worn out. And so I'm going to have to use a different bushing for that one versus all the other bushings, which are 1 millimeters in diameter for all the other pivots, to include the strike side. Strike 2 and the fly are 1.1 millimeters in diameter. Now, I have some bushings here that I purchased back when I used to use my broach cutting set, and so I'm going to use these bushings and select the proper K&M reamer. Now the height on these bushings are 2.0 millimeters thick, and the diameter is 3.5 millimeters thick. The height and the diameter are the only two numbers that you really need to worry about when selecting the proper reamer. Here's a chart. The bore, of course you need to know the bore size too. But when selecting the proper reamer, I already know what the bore size is. Okay, what I need to do is know the height of my bushing, which is 2 millimeters, which is 1.9 is the closest thing I'm going to get. And then from this selection here, in the 1.9, I have to look at the diameter of my bushing. The diameter of my bushing is 3.5, which is this number right here. So I need to select the reamer number 4, which is going to cut a 3.48 hole in my plate. So again, the thickness of the plate, which is this number, the diameter of the bushing, which are these top numbers, and then these bottom numbers tell you which reamer to use. Because the thickness of the plate, I have to use a higher reamer than I typically would for a cuckoo clock. A cuckoo clock thickness is normally 1.0 in diameter, so you would normally use a number 1 reamer to get you your hole. But in this case, because the thickness of my plate is 2 millimeters, I got a bushing, my thickness of my plate is 2.2 millimeters. I'm going to use the height of these, which are 2 millimeters, and I think they will be good enough. My next size is 2.5, and I don't want to have to file it all down. So for the, as long as I have the inside of the plate flush, the back side of the plate will be part of the oil sink. And some people say that if you got too much of an oil sink, it'll draw the oil out. Well, I'm not going to use that much of an oil sink. What is listed already with this bushing is what's going to be used for the oil sink. It's just going to be sunk in a little bit on the plate. So again, this number up here is the thickness of my plate. This number right here is the diameter of my bushing. My diameter of my bushing is 3.5 millimeters, so I'm going to use a Reamer number 4, which will bore it out to 3.48 millimeters. So stand by. Now here's the KWM style reamers, and it shows you size 1 is 1.2 millimeters in diameter, going all the way up. With the kit, here it comes with size 1, size 2, size 3, size 4, size 5, and then this is the chamfering bit that you use afterwards to take any burrs and stuff off of your plate. Now, there's an extra one, size 6, and it's 8.7 millimeters in diameter. That might be for the minute wheel with center arbor, but this is the kit itself costs $108. So again, they don't have sizes on the stupid things, so you just have to know that size 1 is the smallest and size 5 is the biggest, and I need a size 4, which is the next to the biggest in the setup that I'm fixing to do. And a size 4, like I said, it cuts 3.5 millimeters. Diameter bushings. It doesn't cut 3.5 millimeters. It cuts smaller than that. But this is the size of the diameter of the bushings. And then the Belgian is a little bit different. I just saw it. Anyway, the Bergeron is a little bit different. I'm going too fast with this computer. And there are the Bergeron reamers. So anyway, let me get set up to cut some holes. You want to make sure that you have the right size reamer, because honestly, number 3 and number 4 look pretty close to the same thing. And I apologize once again for how dark it is in my room. But here's the number 4, and the diameter on it is 3.3 millimeters. So I know this is a number 4. So I put it in this tool, and it locks into place. Now, I talked about this in my original video, but you want to broach, ream, whatever you want to call it, depending on what tools you have, a hole that is perfectly in circle. If it's oblonged, it's worn out. If you try to broach ream this hole, it's going to be off-centered. So you're going to have to take a file and file away the opposite direction of this area here. That way when you go to broach ream, again, whatever you want to call it, depending on whether you're using cutting broaches or reamers, you want to file away the opposite direction at about the same distance. That way when you go to use your tool, it will make it centered again. I like doing things from the inside plate. So what I'm going to do is, I got my number 4 KWM Reamer set up in the handle. Remember I said that the T2 was a different diameter, so we're going to have to put a different bushing in there. So making sure that the tool is perpendicular to the ground. Start reaming away. And with the broach setup that I was doing, like I said, you had to use several different size broaches. And that's the reason I bought this setting, this tool, is so it will be quicker for me. Not that I don't have a lot of time on my hands. It just took a long time to do one bushing. Imagine if I put this in my drill, it'd be a lot faster. Having carpal tunnel in both my hands, this hurts. So I'm probably gonna have to take a break before I finish one bushing. You know, because this is a thicker plate, it's built better. It has taken a while to get this in. y'all got the gist of it. I'm going to do the rest of it off video. Complain if you want, but I put the thing in my drill, and I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to finish it with my hand, but for the most part, I'm using my drill to get it to where I want. So now that I got it cut mostly, now I can finish it by hand. And I'm going to try the bushing out and see what happens. And there we have it, one bushing installed. What I'm going to have to do is use my cutting broaches to bore out the center hole, because this is 1.1 millimeters in diameter, and the bushings that I selected were 1.2 millimeters in diameter, but by the time you put the bushing in, the hole is too small. And this is the one that somebody had pinged to put in. And so I'm going to have to bore out the diameter using a cutting broach. Here I selected a cutting broach that is 1.3 millimeters in diameter, and I'm going to broach out the hole of the bushing that I just put in. Sometimes you get confused doing things, but I'm going to broach out the hole of the bushing I just put in. And then try the gear in it. It's starting to fit. It's not good enough. I'm going to broach it out some more. And I think I picked up the wrong one. Sorry. I got a couple of different ones laying on my table here. I don't have the cutting broach in the pen vise tight enough. So let me tighten that up, because as I was turning, nothing was happening, but I'm going to test it out again. It's probably where I need it to be. So before you go any further, you want to put this wheel in place and check it for end shake. And feel it for smoothness. I think I see that it's sticking out a little bit here. So I'm going to take my hammer and pound it down some more. I've got these sockets that I'm using to do so. If they made a staking set that was big enough for clocks, you could use this to push your bushings in, and to actually I might have been able to use, no, this is in the way and I don't want to take it off. I might have been able to use it for other bushings in the plate, but sockets work well too. So I'm gonna put this on and see where my end shake is. Now, you have to do this for every gear that you put a bushing in. And I use that chamfering tool it's not quite there. I got some turn in it, but it's not quite there. I need to broach it out some more. Again, using the right broach. And this sometimes happens also. The KWM, it's not supposed to happen. But it did happen. So now I have to put it back in its place. But it also might be because I'm not using KWM bushings. But I should be able to use whatever bushings I want to use. For some reason, the KWM and the Belch Bergeron bushings are different. And so that might be why it came out on me. And it came out on me again, and I might have to order some KWM bushings for my KWM bushing system. But I do have some bigger diameter bushings, and I'm gonna probably have to do it the old-fashioned way. with my cutting broaches as I showed you in the video. But I hope y'all liking this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave me some comments. And like I said, I might have to use some, order some KWM bushings. It might be the fact that I use my drill to put the reamer in my drill. At this point, honestly, I don't really know. But I know what to do to fix it. In the VHS tape, the gentleman talks about when should you put a bushing in. And what he says is if the hole is 10% more than the diameter of the pivot, then you should put a bushing in. I tend to lean them like this. I end up putting some solder in this bushing because, like I said, I reamed it out too much. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But I'm going to check it again for end shake. And see if I'm comfortable with it. It spins really well. It has end shake. End shake is to and from the back and front of the plate. It spins really well. I'm comfortable with that bushing. On to the next one. That one is done. So again, I'm going to put bushings in strike side 2 and the flywheel here, using the same method as I just got through using, except for this time around I'm going to slow down at the very end so I don't make the hole too big. Again, they make KWM bushings. They make Bergeron bushings. And because I'm not using KWM bushing, I think that's one of the main reasons why it slid through. But like I said, this time around, I'm going to slow down when it comes to the very end. And I'm not going to ream it out or bore it out as much. I got the governor wheel in. It's got plenty of end shake. My conclusion with these new system, the KWM system, like I said before, they sell KWM bushings. And the bushings that I was using are not KWM bushings. They're just a generic bushing. So I believe, and don't quote me on this, that if I had the KWM bushings, I wouldn't have had such a problem as what I had. I did use my drill, my cordless drill, in using this. Whether you use your cordless drill or whether you use the tool that came with it, that's up to you. You find the method that works best for you, and I will use the method that works best for me. But I hope y'all like this video set. Again, these are reamers. These are broaches. The VHS tape that I learned from used cutting broaches. With the cuckoo clock movements, the reason why I went to the KWM reamers is because with the cuckoo clock movement, because the pivot hole is so small and you have to cut out a diameter of, let's say in this case, 3.3 millimeters, you have to start with a small cutting broach and then go to a bigger cutting broach and then go to a bigger cutting broach until you figure out the size of the hole that you can get to in order to install the bushing. With the KWM or with the Bergeron bushings, you figure out from the chart, using the KWM chart, which reamer that you need to use. In this case, it was a 3.5 diameter bushing, so I used a number 4 reamer from start to finish using the same reamer. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Again, hit the subscribe button, leave me comments, and may God bless each and every one of you.